Yes, yes, yes. What's going on, people? It's your boy Boxing Lowdown here in the building. Now, post-fight reaction, man. Joseph Parker winning a split decision over Derek Chisora. What did you guys think about it, man? Not a bad card, to be fair. Pretty entertaining throughout for me, anyway. I know there was a lot of complaints about this card going in. Joseph Parker getting a split decision over Derek Chisora, man. Let me know what you guys think. Those of you in the building, feel free to let me know your thoughts on the fight, man. I'll read out your comments. We're going live. My quick post-fight reaction to this fight. Don't forget to like the video if you're on YouTube. Share the video, subscribe to the channel, and give me your thoughts on the fight, man. Joseph Parker winning a split decision over Derek Chisora after a torrid opener. Knocked down in the first, 10 seconds, I think it was. And to be fair to Joseph Parker, man, he picked himself up, won the second half of the fight for me, definitely. And, the scorecards, I mean, it was a split decision, like I said, was close on both cards, on all the cards, really. And, Joseph Parker edging it just about. So for me personally, like I said, I thought Chisora started off very well, had the best start he could have hoped for. You know what I mean? Knocking Parker down in the first 10 seconds, it looked like it was going to be a very long night for Joseph Parker, man. But to be fair to him, he got himself back into the fight. Del Boy looking very tired afterwards, man. And, that he was tired from like the mid rounds, I'd say. He was slumped on the corner, and it was really going to see how much of an effort he could put in to go the distance, man. He did do that. But, a lot of people thought he still did enough to win. Do you know what I mean? I would have had no arguments there. I thought it was that close. Big up NREX here. He's put Chisora was robbed. So some people feel Chisora was robbed. Let me know what you guys think here in the chat. Do you also think that Derek Chisora was robbed? It was close for me. I thought that it could have gone either way, to be honest, man. I thought that Parker worked himself well back into the fight after a torrid opener. It was close. It was close for me. So, but I mean, let me know your opinions, man. NREX here feels that Chisora was robbed. Big up my bro DS in the chat every time, man. Big up to you, bro. Enough respect. He's put, I had it 114, 113. 6-6 rounds, but Del Boy nicking it with that knockdown. Close fight, could have gone either way. That's how I looked at it as well. I had it 114, 113 to Parker, but, I had no arguments if anyone went with Del Boy. I thought he had the perfect start, man. He really had Parker going. And I thought that this is going to be a long night. I thought Parker wouldn't be able to handle it. I thought that maybe this is going to be too much and the pressure from Del Boy would tell. But one thing that I noticed straight away was that he wasn't as fit in this fight as he was in the Usyk fight. He just didn't have that same sort of energy. And it kind of showed in the end. I mean, Parker at times, this is the frustrating thing with Parker, man. I mean, at times when he was ripping those combinations, man, he looked very good. And he had Del Boy going. In what was it, the 11th round maybe, or was it the 12th round? He had Del Boy going, could have got him out of there, but he's just got no killer instinct, Joseph Parker, man. And this is the thing. This is the thing with Joseph Parker, man. Good fight, though. Entertaining fight. And would you guys like to see it again? My bro Ian Hamilton in the chat, what's going on, man? He's put, at least the fight was better than we expected. Chisora, for me, lost the fight because he expended too much energy and allowed Parker back in. Just wish Chisora would call it a day. I just saw Chisora's post-fight interview on Sky Sports, and he's talking up the rematch. He said he's not going anywhere after all that. So I mean, yeah, I'd like to see Chisora call it a day, man. He just looked tired in there. I mean, after that knockdown, I would have thought, yeah, this is the perfect start. We all know about Parker already, man. He's got all the ability, but we're left to be desired as to how much grit he could do. And Chisora allowed him back into it for me. I thought that Chisora allowed Parker back in the fight. And it didn't have to be that close if Chisora just continued the pressure, because he faded very early on. And it looked like a struggle going into them later rounds. DS, who I was talking to throughout the fight, he thought that Chisora could get knocked out. Do you know what I mean? He had Chisora winning the fight, but I mean, it was like the way how tired he was looking. If Parker put his shots together, man, he could have took Derek out of there. But that's the thing with Joseph Parker, man. That's the thing with Joseph Parker. And a lot of people on Twitter and, everybody's got an opinion on there. But a lot of people on Twitter were saying that Joseph Parker just isn't as good as we would have hoped he could have been, or hasn't lived up to the potential. So, it is what it is, man. Parker, for me, I thought he did enough to win. But again, I would have had no arguments if anyone thought Del Boy won. It was just one of those type of fights, man. It was close. And I was curious to see how the judges were going to score it, to be fair. But, they gave it to Joseph Parker, so fair enough. Big up Shane Willoughby in the chat here. Not a bad card overall. Not a bad card overall, man. The main fight, though, as DS said here, was Taylor versus Jonas, sorry. Fantastic undercard fight, man. Brilliant fight. We'll get to that. Big up Ed. Ed in the chat, he's put Parker fights in moments, but realistically, he only won that because Chisora had gassed after the 6. Ed, I totally agree. I think that if Del Boy was able to keep up the pressure, even the same amount of pressure that he used in the Usyk fight, if he was able to keep that up, I thought he could have beaten Parker, man, for sure. And, or at least made it more convincing on the scorecards. But, he just faded too quickly for me. And Parker was allowed to get back in it because of Del Boy. And that's really because Del Boy allowed Parker to get in the fight, man. He really did. So big up Ed for the comment there. Shane Willoughby in the chat has put, I had it 6-6, but Parker should have got a warning for that holding in the first 5. Yeah, he was doing a lot of holding, Joseph Parker, man. A lot of that jab and grab stuff. He's done that before. If you only had to see his last fight against Junior Farr, where Parker was doing a lot of holding, he was doing a lot of holding in this fight as well. He was allowed to get away with it. But Derek he just wasn't in the same sort of shape as he was against Alexander Usyk, in my opinion. He just wasn't, man. The fight slipped away from him. The fight slipped away from Del Boy. He could have won that. And what does that say for Joseph Parker, man? The fact that, Del Boy, you're going to hell and back with Chisora, who, let's be honest, man, is nothing more than a gatekeeper in this division. If you've got ambitions to be a world champion again, Joseph Parker, then, this is not a good look. I know Usyk had a bit of problems with Chisora, but I guess that we could kind of allow that a bit more, considering that Usyk is moving up to heavyweight. He hasn't really, been in the division for that long as a pro. Whereas Joseph Parker, obviously, he's a big heavyweight. He's been at that division for the whole of his career, former world champion. If he wants to get back to that stage, then I think he's got a lot more to do, man. And yeah, he definitely struggled with Del Boy in there tonight. He definitely did. So how far can Joseph Parker go, in you guys' opinion? Do you think he can get back to that sort of level, challenging for world titles again and even picking up another world title? Obviously, we're hoping that this undisputed fight between Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury goes down. But if and when it does go down, then the belts are eventually going to get fractured. Will Joseph Parker be in contention to challenge for one of those belts, man? It's going to be interesting to see what he does. He's got Andy Lee in the corner. First time he was in the corner for his fight. So obviously he's got a lot more to pick up. And one thing that I do like about Joseph Parker, man, is that he does show flashes of brilliance. Do you know what I mean? The 1-2 was working for him all night. And like I said, in the 11th or 12th round, he could have got Derek out of there. There was 1-2 I think he landed where Derek was on the ropes and Parker just stood off him. And I was just like, yeah, he's just got no killer instinct, man. But he does have ability. I mean, it's hard not to say that, but yeah, she's left to be decided as to Joseph Parker, man. Again, it's frustrating. Big up DS in the chat here. He's put, if Chisora was in the same shape he was for Usyk, he would have won fairly comfortably. Yeah, I totally agree. If he was in the same shape as he was for Usyk, he would have won that fight, man. But he just looked very laboured in there, man. He was slumped on the corner after like round 3. And yeah, after that, I just thought, yeah, this is going to be a struggle for Derek, man. So yeah, it is what it is. Shane Willoughby in the chat, he's put, Del Boy has no slow game. And then he's put, but Usyk won 8 rounds and he didn't get dropped. That's very true. And then Shane's put here, F Parker, man, I swear he's so crap. Yeah, Parker's just annoying, bro. He's just very annoying, man. And, I can't wait to see what Laurie has to say about this. We're going to get him on the podcast next week. But yeah, Parker just very frustrating, man. Very frustrating because you can see what sort of ability he does have, but he's got absolutely zero killer instinct, man. Zero killer instinct. And it's a shame. It's a shame. Shane's put in here, I wish that he lost today. What did you guys think about the undercard as well, man? Tennyson getting upset in the first round. Unbelievable. Getting knocked out in the first round like that, man. I'm sure everybody was thinking about Johnny Nelson after that happened. There was also the great fight between Katie Taylor and Tasha Jonas. Best fight of the night for me. Just an unbelievable fight between those two, man. A real good advert for boxing. Not just women's boxing, but for boxing. Do you know what I mean? That was a great fight to watch. Dimitri Bivol defeating Craig Richards, man. Good learning fight there for Craig Richards. Bivol there winning most of the rounds for me. Surprisingly, well, should I even say surprisingly? But 2 of the scorecards in that fight, it was a unanimous decision for Bivol, but 2 of those scorecards were very, very close. Way too close than it should have been. But luckily, the right man won that fight. Also, we had Campbell Hatton in there in his second fight, winning every round, winning the decision. Chris Eubank Jr. defeating Marcus Morrison in there. So let me know what you guys thought of the actual card, man. Like I said, there was a lot of skepticism going in of all the big names that were on the show, but how many of them 50-50 fights? For me, I didn't mind the show. Do you know what I mean? I actually didn't mind it. Entertaining show enough for me. But what did you guys think? Let me know. Shane is putting in there, this guy is bad for the sport. He's sucking. Shane, if you want to come on, let me know, bro. If you want to jump on, let me know. I'll send you the link, brother. He's put here, Eubank looked average as well. Eubank, I think Eubank, yeah, for me, at times he was mimicking Roy Jones in there. But, I think what they said afterwards made sense to me. He was trying to get some rounds in. Eubank has been very inactive, man. He hasn't had enough fights over the last, couple of years. And it made sense to me afterwards when I heard Roy Jones say that, he was very inactive and he wants to get more rounds in the bank. Because there was a time where he had Marcus Morrison on the ropes and, he could have stopped him, but he kind of invited him back in. So I think that was the second round. So, I thought that Eubank, he could have probably took him out, but it was I won't be as critical of Eubank Jr. as I saw some people as, but yeah, I mean, the talk of him fighting like a Triple G or a Charlo, I'd stay the hell away from Charlo. Triple G is old right now. He's 38 years old, 38, 39. So maybe that sort of activity could fluster Triple G, but I'd still make Triple G the favorite in that fight, man, with his jab and his technique, because Eubank is still wide open for those shots and he's still got a lot to learn. He's still got a lot to learn under Roy Jones. So let's see where he goes next from here. But shout out to Marcus Morrison, man. He put up a good performance as well. Very brave, took a lot of shots and very tough. Do you know what I mean? So, shout out to Marcus Morrison as well. Shane's asking for the link. All right, let me send you the link, bro. Let me just get this now. Bear with me, folks. We'll get Shane up on there, see what he has to say. Anyone else, man, want to have your opinion, want to have your say, let me know. We could get you guys up on there, man. Just a quick reaction to this fight, the main event, of course, and any of the undercard as well. Let me know what you guys want to talk about, man. How did you guys see the card? What was the most exciting fight of the night? And so on. So, not a bad show for me at all. Not a bad show for me at all, man. I didn't mind it. Not a bad Saturday night for me. Let's go through some of the comments here. Big up Ian Hamilton, man. He's put, the card was decent. For me, it over-delivered. Taylor Jonas was a great fight and had me and my dad going. He's Irish, so he was rooting for Taylor, but great fight overall. Yeah, it was a very good fight, man. Very good fight. I enjoyed it, entertaining, and the right person won for me. I had Katie Taylor up probably by about 2 rounds. I think 96-94 was fair. Do you know what I mean? And as it went to the scorecards, I was worried for Jonas because even though I thought Taylor deserved the decision, I was hoping that her efforts at least would get respect from the judges, and it did. Because all 3 of the cards reflected, how good of a fight it was. And I think it was like 1 or 2 points in it. And that was about right. Do you know what I mean? So very entertaining show. A lot of respect between the two. Obviously, these two ladies met as amateurs 9 years ago. They met again in the ring and as pros and, put up another great fight, man. So shout out to the both of them. They earned every bit of their money that they received tonight for sure, man. It was a great fight. And I really enjoyed it. Thoroughly enjoyed it, man. So where does Katie Taylor go from here? I'm not sure. There's the Serrano fight. Would like to see that maybe. I think that would be a good fight. What would you guys like to see her do? Let me just send this link to Shane right now. Get him on, see what he has to say. All right, it's got that link there. Big up Connor in the chat here. He's put, I feel sorry for Chisora. He had at least 5 of the first 6 with a knockdown and took the last round. Decent card, to be honest. Not many one-way fights. Yeah, going in, Connor, there was like a lot of big names on the bill, but a lot of people thought that, these fights were only going to go one way. It wouldn't be that competitive. But a lot of the fights were competitive, man. They were. So I enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And, Chisora, I did feel a bit sorry for him, but he let the fight slip away, in my opinion, man. I thought he did enough. He could have won the fight. I wouldn't have argued it, but he let Parker back in the fight, man. He did. He let Parker back in. Let me get Shane in the stream here. What's going on, bro?
Everything's good, man. I'm a bit in the light, so let me get out the light a bit.
I'm just going to go through these comments here. Big up Sully in the chat. What's going on, bro? He's put Natasha Jonas versus Terry Harper has to be next, or Eddie is a snake. Yeah, put Tasha Jonas back in there with Terry Harper, man. Tasha Jonas beat Terry Harper for me first time round, and she deserves that rematch. It'll be, a damn shame if Natasha Jonas retires and does not become a world champion, man, especially when you got the likes of Shannon Courtney as world champion now. No disrespect. Natasha Jonas deserves to at least pick up a belt, man, before she retires. 36 years old now, I think she is. So probably hasn't got that long left in her career. I'd like to see her have a rematch with Terry Harper. Kai Sinclair, big up Kai in the chat. They put, Eubank needs another fight before fighting Triple G. Absolutely, I totally agree. J Lo put here, the main event was disappointing due to Chisora's shape and especially Parker's clinching. What else is new?
I agree with that.
What else is new, man? DS has put here, the main event wasn't pay-per-view worthy, but the card as a whole was decent. Connor has put here, 116, 111 was so disrespectful to Chisora too. That works out like taking 3 rounds, yeah. Considering the knockdown as well, that was a bit wide for Parker, in my opinion there, definitely. Sully has put here, Katie versus Pursoon 3, Terry Harper versus Natasha Jonas 2, and the winners fight each other. Sully, yeah, you make a decent promoter. Do you know what I mean? For sure. Big up Stefan in the chat here. He's put, I had Parker winning. I thought he swept the second half of the fight. Could have gone either way, though. Parker was his usual self. No improvements under Lee. Shane, what do you think?
Personally, and I say this, I gave the first 4 rounds to Chisora. And I gave, and this might sound crazy, but I actually gave the last round to Chisora as well. And I think I gave him a middle round. But what I was disappointed with was, obviously I felt like the referee should have reprimanded Parker for the clinching, because he reprimanded Chisora for the punching behind the head, but he didn't reprimand Parker for the clinching. And I also feel like Buddy McGirt, and I'm a big fan of Buddy, but he probably gave those instructions 1 round too early, or maybe even 2 rounds too early, where he said to Chisora in the last round, don't load up for shots, don't go for the knockouts, try to score points. If you look in that last round, he actually started that last round actually really good by literally throwing like shots, not to load up, just to land. And I actually thought defensively Parker was pretty open today. Other than when he was clinching, he really did. He fought with his hands down most of the fight, and he didn't really deploy much head movement. So I just feel like if Chisora wasn't loading up and actually just tried to score points, especially after he got tired, he would have won more rounds. But again,
I thought the body work was good from Chisora, I thought. Did you think so?
Yeah, I thought the body work was good. But if you remember the Chisora versus Dylan White, the first fight, he done smart things like take rounds off so he can recover for the next one. In this fight, he didn't do that. He didn't take no rounds off. Even when he was clearly losing a round, he was still trying to load up on punches. And I'm thinking, you know what? You're losing that round. Give it to him. Me personally, when you're 4 rounds up with a knockdown after 6 rounds and you're tired, give him 2 rounds. You know what? Take the 2 rounds. I'll take a break. Because I know if I win 2 more rounds, I can't lose the fight. That's how I'll be looking at it. But again, I don't feel like he had much game management. But I still don't rate Parker. I don't rate Parker at all.
Good point there, man. Big up Stefan. He's put here 116, 111. Parker was awful. The more I think about it, that card wasn't good. Yeah, Connor said it as well here. 116, 111 was disrespectful. And Stefan said 116, 111 is too big too wide for me.
Way too wide.
Yeah. I totally agree with what you said there. Chisora's game management wasn't really there. And that's surprising when you got someone like Buddy McGirt in the corner.
Facts. And I mean, it's something that we've seen from Chisora before. Because, again, we even saw it in the first Tyson Fury fight, how he managed to manage his stamina. In the Usyk fight, who I feel like Usyk, Chisora, and White are all they're much better fighters than Parker. But I feel like, you know what? I feel like because he hurt Parker quite early and dropped him, I feel like he got carried away. Whereas in the other fights, whilst he was getting success, he didn't knock them out or drop them or anything. So I feel like maybe that could have played a big part into his mentality.
Shane, we got another guy in the building. You ready for me to bring him in?
Please.
All right. Let me go through the comments here quickly, man. Ian Hamilton has put here, I slightly chuckled that Eubank Jr. was basically mimicking Roy Jones. He has everything to be a star, but seems to lack a killer instinct or waits for it to present itself. I dread Brooke is next. I hope not. I hope not, man. Perry Julian has put here, why wasn't Taylor and Jonas top of the bill? There has to be a rematch. Got to be a rematch, man. And look, let me bring this guy in. Do you know what I mean? You guys are already familiar with who he is. Do you know what I mean? My co-host on the podcast. We're going to bring him in, hear his opinion. Shout out to my dad, Mr. Laurie from AFTV. What's going on, man? Is that the Chisora overhand right?
Check out that overhand right, man. Hey, listen, man. Let's keep it 100. Derek was robbed tonight, man. He won that fight.
You think he was robbed?
Huh?
You think he was robbed?
Well, you know what? I'm not going to say it was a robbery. It was close. But to me, Derek did the better work. He dropped him. He made the fight. He pushed Parker back.
Now, I thought Parker should have got deducted a point for the holding. I'll keep it real.
Plus, Parker was fighting in spurts and a lot of the shots weren't landing. A bit like Katie Taylor. Shoe shine flurries that weren't always landing, man. Natasha Jonas landed the better shots. But I didn't have an argument with Katie Taylor winning. But I do have an argument with Joe Parker winning, man. I mean, and you know what? I feel sorry for Derek, man, because you're the home fighter and you still get stiffed at home. You know what I mean? So what's going on there?
Yeah. I'll tell you why I had Parker up by a point. I just thought that Chisora just gassed badly. And he had the fight in his grasp to win it. I got no argument with those that think Chisora won, by the way. I thought 116, 111 Parker was just...
Oh, that was disgusting. That was disgusting.
That was terrible. When they said 116, 111, I thought maybe that might be Chisora because he got the knockdown. But 116, 111 Parker.
It was interesting because Joseph Parker himself apparently said at the end of the fight he's not sure if he's done enough. Now,
I mean, even Andy Lee said that. Andy Lee said that he wasn't sure.
But Joseph Parker said that as well. He was shaking his head because they said that in the commentary. That Joseph Parker went back to his corner after the end of the fight and was shaking his head and saying, well, they said he was shaking his head. And then in the post-fight interviews, it emerged that Joseph Parker said, I'm not sure if I've done enough. To me, Del Boy won that fight, man. I mean,
me as well. I had it 6-6, yeah, because as I said, I had it 6-6, but when you include the knockdown. But to me, I just thought again, Joseph Parker was just so trash to me. He was so trash. He was so trash.
If this is what he spent all that time with Andy Lee doing, then that reflects badly on Andy Lee. Did you see anything different? Did you? It's the same
nothing.
Parker.
Big up to everybody here in the chat, man. Ian has put here, oh yes, Laurie is here. Get the popcorn ready. Laurie in the building. I've got two of the most controversial guys out there, man. You know, they know their stuff. Do you know what I mean? Laurie, let me just say this, yeah. I thought this is why I had Parker winning by a point. And again, I don't argue with anyone that had Chisora winning at all. But I just thought that Del Boy, after the 4th, 5th round, he really he gassed out. Do you know what I mean? And I thought that Parker was starting to get himself back into the fight. I agree with you where he was landing a lot of shoe shine flurries, but some of them were landing. And I thought that Del Boy wasn't keeping up the pace that he was in the earlier rounds. I thought he had the perfect start.
Can I ask you a question, Daryl?
Yeah, go on.
After watching the 12 rounds of that fight and after hearing what you said, and I don't really care you won the fight, after seeing how you said that you've seen Chisora gas, at what stage did it look like Parker was going to stop him or even drop him? At what stage?
I swear it was either the 11th or the 12th round where...
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Was on the ropes. And then Parker could have let, and he stepped back.
That's my point. This guy didn't even want to win. He didn't even want to win. Because to me, if it's a close fight and you hurt your guy in the 11th round and you see him being gassed for 5 rounds straight, you go and press him. You go and try to stop him. But he didn't do that. To me, I don't even think he deserved to win. He didn't even deserve to win.
Johnny Nelson made a very good point on the post-fight commentary. He said you got Joseph Parker, 29 years old, and you got Derek Chisora, 37 years old. And don't forget, when you're talking about Derek, 37 years old, he's not just 37. He's an old 37. He's had a lot of hard fights. He's been stopped a few times. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of wear and tear, a lot of miles on the clock. And he was the one that was pushing the fight. He was the one that was making that fight, pushing Parker back, working at all times. You know what I mean? He didn't get rewarded for that, man. You know what I mean? So
facts.
Throw a couple of, and we said, didn't we, Daryl, when I did your show during the week, I said that Parker was going to fight like that. Jab, grab, throw a few shots, and then fall into a clinch. And that's what he does. And a lot of them, when he's throwing a little 2-3 shots that may look good if you're sitting in row Z, but if you look at the shots, they're not actually landing. And I thought he wasn't given enough credit for the body work that he put in, the fact that he was pushing Parker back every single round, pretty much. He definitely won that fight, man. I mean,
I was.
Are you going as far as saying it was a robbery?
Me?
well,
Both of you, Laurie.
No, it's not a robbery.
I've seen worse decisions, but I definitely feel that Derek was hard done by, man. 100%. I felt he won at the. Listen, I'm in a WhatsApp group, and there's 5 of us in the group, and all 5 of us had Derek winning that fight. So, you know.
I had Derek winning, and the thing with me was, one thing I would have said from Derek was, when he was clinching, you got to do something about that. Because if you remember in the Dylan fight, Parker tried to clinch, and the first clinch he went in with Dylan White forced him over the top ropes like it was WWE or something. You gotta impose yourself physically. He wasted so much energy throwing punches that when it came to the clinch, he was just rabbit punching.
Yeah. J Lo has put here, if Parker threw more punches, he'd be a much better fighter, and he could have won that quite convincingly.
But that goes back to what we were saying, Darryl, about flattering to deceive. He does this all the time. You see,
facts.
For the people who don't really know Joseph Parker, they'll be looking at that fight and saying, if only he threw a few more punches, if only he did this, if only he did that. But when you're like me, you and Shane, this is the pattern of Joseph Parker that we've seen repeat itself ever since we started watching this guy. He always does this type of thing. You know what I mean? He always does this.
Stefan says here, Parker had
good-looking shots that don't land, and everyone's, oh, look at that. He weren't doing nothing special, man.
Stefan said here, Parker had his moments, but he doesn't sustain attacks. Chisora ended the fight with nothing in the tank. Parker finished it with plenty in the tank. And that's the problem.
Yeah,
that's the problem. Why didn't Parker take Chisora out when he had him out?
And tell me something, right? Be honest. Who won that last round?
I had Chisora winning it.
Chisora.
I swear to God.
Exactly.
I swear to God.
On the commentary, Matt Macklin said it's on the championship rounds. And to me, Chisora won that last round.
Me as well. I thought Chisora won that last round. And to me, I was thinking to myself, and Laurie, I don't know if you heard when I said this, I feel like Buddy McGirt gave that advice 1 round too early. When he said to Chisora, stop loading up on punches and just try to score points. And if you look how he fought in that last round, he stopped loading up on punches. He actually tried to score points. Yeah. And that's why he won that round. If he'd done that in the middle rounds, and I was saying he doesn't have a slow game. It's either 100 miles an hour or nothing. He needs to develop a slow game. I say that now he's 37. So how much more developing can he do?
I have to say I was quite impressed with the corner work from Buddy McGirt as well, actually. He was much more effective in his corner work than Andy Lee was. I couldn't even hear what Andy Lee was trying to say. You know what I mean?
Well, Andy Lee was actually digging him out, to be honest. He was actually telling Parker to go and start kicking on, but Parker don't have the heart for that.
I can't understand, though, right, how we often talk about boxing politics. I mean, you've got Derek Chisora, right? He's a matchroom fighter, pretty much. He's in his own country, and he still gets stiffed like that. How does that work?
Don't know.
How does that work, man?
And the wickedest thing is, if all the judges were close, then I would understand. But 116, 111, that sounds
there was a New Zealand judge, wasn't there? Was that from the New Zealand judge? 116, 111?
Must be.
Connor's put here, yeah, Parker isn't as good as people rate him. He doesn't have that killer instinct at all. I agree. He's got 0 killer instinct, man.
I said this during.
Where did he?
I goes that he's the difference between him, Derek Chisora, Dillian, people like that, is that those guys are prepared to leave it in the ring. Joseph Parker is not.
Facts.
After the fight, relatively unmarked. He wasn't even blowing as hard as Derek. You know what I mean? He's the younger guy by about some 8 years, which is a lot in professional sport. And he wasn't prepared to empty the tank, man. He's not. You know what I mean?
Let's talk about the rest of the card quickly, man, before we sign off. We're not going to be on here for too long today. But let's talk about Bivol. Let's talk about Bivol and Craig Richards, man. Let's talk about it.
Can I speak first?
Go on.
Personally, this is the second time I've seen Bivol do this. And he does this he done it against Castillo as well, where he kind of looks like he gets bored in the ring. Like I watched him and I was just like, he just not stepping up the level. Like I just see, it just seemed like he was just
come on,
walking through the fight. Like he just seemed bored to me. Like I didn't see at any stage. Like I remember and Craig Richards done fantastic. Craig Richards to me, and I said this to Laurie, this is the best opponent I've ever seen against Dimitri Bivol. He done better than Joe Smith, Jean Pascal, Sullivan Barrera. He done better than all of them because he was actually able to win rounds. But when you look at it, and I just think, and I'm a big Bivol fan, as you know, but he just seemed a bit boring today. Like he just seemed like he didn't even care. That's what it seemed like to me. It just seemed like
he didn't seem like that to me. It seemed to me he gassed a little bit, man. I mean, to me, I think early on, Craig Richards was showing Bivol too much respect. He was just throwing single jabs, and he kept getting caught with a left hook over the top. He was dropping his right hand as he was throwing the jab. Bivol actually made a very good start, but I think as the rounds went on, man, he wasn't able to maintain it, and I think Craig Richards grew in confidence. And it was interesting at the end of the fight, Craig Richards and Tony Sims, they genuinely thought they won that fight. I don't think that they were capping, man. Innit? Did you see the way they were reacting?
Yeah, but come on, man. They were not like two of those cards were terrible. Like 150.
Well, I thought Bivol won. I'm gonna keep it 100. I thought Bivol won, but I wasn't overly. I said this to Shane as well. I wasn't overly impressed. I mean, if I'm Joshua Buatsi, Callum Johnson, Anthony Yard, and what's the guy from Manchester called? Shit. What's that friend from Manchester called, man?
Who? Callum Johnson?
No. The guy that.
Oh, it's from Liverpool. Who? Oh, Lyndon Arthur.
Yeah, Lyndon Arthur. I'm looking at that fight and thinking, boy, that's a winnable fight.
What, against Bivol?
Yeah. Was you overly impressed by Bivol tonight?
I thought Bivol. You've got to remember Bivol's been out for 18 months.
So?
I wasn't impressed by Bivol. I wasn't impressed, but guess what? I don't need to be impressed because I know what level he can fight at. Again, I've seen this guy, 12-old Joe Smith.
Hang on. What I'm saying is, though.
So you're saying, so what? That he's been out for 18 months. That don't mean nothing.
I'm not saying it don't mean nothing. What I am saying is, if you're Joshua Buatsi, Callum Johnson, Lyndon Arthur, and Anthony Yard, and you're looking at that fight tonight, because all four of those guys I just named would be favoured to beat Craig Richards, yes or no?
I wouldn't say so.
I wouldn't say so. No, I disagree.
I would say Craig Richards has a better resume than all four of those. He has better wins than all four of those fighters.
Okay.
You pick Yard over Craig Richards?
What I'm saying is, if you're Joshua Buatsi, right, and Callum Johnson, and Lyndon Arthur, especially those three, you look at that fight tonight with Craig Richards and Bivol, and I bet you any money they'll be thinking to themselves, you know what? I wouldn't mind that fight. Because that performance by Bivol tonight is not going to frighten any of those guys. That's what I'm saying.
What I'll say that Craig Richards did well to stay in the fight, but it wasn't close, competitive or anything like that.
I think you're doing him a bit of a disservice. He was competitive. I don't think it was that close. But he was.
Can I say something? Because I feel like this is a big misconception. Dimitri Bivol is a fantastic matador. That's my opinion. He's a fantastic matador. And today he had to be more of a bull. And that's probably why. 1 second.
You say fantastic.
Let me explain. Okay, he's a better matador than he is a bull. Buatsi and Anthony, 1 second. Buatsi, Anthony Yard, and Callum Johnson are more aggressive fighters. So if they're coming forward against Bivol and they think they're just going to walk forward against Bivol and walk him down, they got another thing coming because better fighters have tried and they got 12-0. So that's my point.
They'll get pieced up. You just walk towards Bivol like that, man. Look, like DS says here, he's been out since October 2019. Tonight was about shaking off the cobwebs. Craig Richards is just giving himself a good platform to go and kick on, whether it be a domestic fight or Joe Smith Jr. Joe has put here, Arthur is the only one domestically. Hold on, Laurie. Joe Street has put, Arthur is the only one domestically that gets anywhere near Bivol.
Well, I'm saying, right, honestly, I didn't see anything in Bivol tonight that would frighten those guys. That's what I'm saying.
Neither did I.
What do you think those
Neither
guys
did
have
I.
got that with Bright and Bivol?
No, but that's not the point I'm making. I'm saying that if you're looking at a world champion and you're seeing him tonight against Craig Richards, and you're looking at him and you think, because listen, that's what I was thinking myself at the time. I was thinking he's good, but he's not sensational. No way.
So
You can't take that out of context.
if you're the manager of Boatsi or Anthony Yard, would you throw them in there, Bivol? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying if I'm the manager of those, if I'm the one of those fighters or the manager of one of those fighters, I'm thinking, you know what? That guy's nothing to be scared of.
Let me ask you a question. The reason you can't really take that out of context, because was you saying that after Joe Smith got beaten 12-0, he lost every single round against Bivol?
But with respect, that's immaterial, isn't it? Styles make fights. I'm saying if you look at that fight tonight.
But none of them have Craig Richards' style. None of the guys you named have Craig Richards' style. None of them are 6'3" with 70 reach.
Listen, tonight, did Bivol show that he was a puncher? Did he show that he was a master skillster? Did he show that he had great ring craft? No. What we saw tonight was a guy that was competent in all the skill sets, and he did enough to get the win, but he wasn't overly impressive. That's the point I'm trying to make.
I agree.
Perry Julian's put here, Craig Richards versus Lyndon Arthur would be a great fight. Who have you got winning that fight?
I'll say Craig.
You know what? I'd say Lyndon Arthur.
I think that's a very good fight. That's a solid fight.
I'd probably go for Lyndon Arthur, man.
What about the theme? Well, let's talk about Natasha Jonas and Katie Taylor, man. While we're here, for me, the fight of the night, brilliant fight, man. Both of them showed out.
I'm gonna have to jump off. I'm gonna have to jump off.
No problem, bro. Take it easy.
Sorry, I'll see.
Yeah, take care, man.
Let's talk about So for me, Katie Taylor got the decision. Very good fight. I thought that Natasha Jonas worked her way into the fight. Maybe a bit too late for me, but no argument with the decision. Really great fight. Very good fight. You know, great advert for the sport. Natasha Jonas really caught Taylor at times, man. Had her on shaky legs at times, but for me, Taylor landed more of the flurries. Some of them were shoe shine flurries, I admit, but I think the activity towards the end did enough for her to nick it for me, which was a tense up and down battle. Yeah,
I agree. It was a very good fight, very competitive. I think Natasha Jonas landed the better shots, but Katie Taylor, you know what I mean, with a fast touch fighter, she was a quicker fighter. She also used her experience. She knew when to throw those little shoe shine flurries at the end of the round to steal the rounds and stuff like that. So credit to her for that. Yeah, man. And I think that Natasha Jonas gave up a couple of those early rounds. She probably regrets doing that now because she was a bit cautious to start with. And Katie Taylor racked up a couple of those early rounds. And that probably proved to be the difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very good fight. No complaints with the decision, unlike the Chisora versus Parker fight. So yeah, I think a rematch would be a good look. Because if Natasha Jonas could start quicker next time, get her shots off a little earlier, she's got a great chance because she definitely hurt Katie Taylor at least once in that fight, man.
Well, why did the referee stop that fight to tell Joe Gallagher off? I was like, what are you doing, ref?
That was ridiculous, man. You know what I mean? What was that about, really? I mean, what is he seeking to achieve?
Yeah, because the next round, Joe Gallagher was loud anyway.
You know, both corners were encouraging their fights. I mean, I saw a fight the night before where the Sonny Edwards fight, where Adam Booth was talking all the way through that fight. You know what I mean? Oh, come on, man. That was ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, listen, that obviously what the referee did was wrong, but it had no reflection.
Yeah, true. Didn't affect the fight. Nah.
Katie Taylor, give her credit, man. I mean, I was critical of the way Delphine Pursoon got robbed, but on this occasion, I actually wanted Natasha Jonas to win, but not because I dislike Katie Taylor, but I do like Natasha Jonas, and she's paid her dues. She come up on the wrong end of the decision last time against Terry Harper. This again was another close fight. But you know, you got to take your hat off to Katie Taylor. She produced the better work and deserved the win in the end. But it was a great fight.
IA has put here, he's not impressed with the light heavyweight champions. He's put, didn't Joe Smith lose his last fight? He was lucky on the scorecards. I think the champs at light heavyweight are overrated. Even Beterbiev.
You know what, man, I think that's a good point. I think you and Shane are definitely overestimating Bibble. I didn't see anything special about him tonight at all. Okay, you can say, okay, he's been out the ring for a long time. Maybe that did have some kind of effect. But then again, the only reason why Bivol took this fight is because he thought Craig Richards was a pushover. Let's be honest. You know
DS has put here, Taylor versus Jonas would be brilliant with a full crowd.
Yep. I agree.
Laurie, what did you think of Campbell Hatton in his second professional fight? Won it 40-36 on all the scorecards. You know, for me, I thought he definitely looked better than his first fight. But again, this is going to be a very, you know what I mean, slow process. It's going to move him very slowly. So, you know, the critics will be out as always. But, you know, Campbell Hatton there, still settling into his professional career. What was your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he looked better than his debut. He won all 4 rounds comfortably. He looked a bit more composed this time. Last time he was trying too hard for the knockout. He was still trying a bit too hard for the knockout in this fight. And he was kind of overreaching and smothering his own work at times. But he well won it. I think, listen, people are going to have to just already come to the conclusion that he's nowhere near the level of his dad. He may look like his dad.
He looks a lot. He's like a clone of his dad.
Yeah, you may look like him. He may have the same shorts. He may have the same name. But let's be honest, man. He's nowhere near the quality and the level of his dad. I mean, they made that point on the commentary that, listen, his dad coming into the professional game was an absolutely brilliant amateur. You know what I mean? And won ABA titles and stuff like that. And had fought in the World Amateur Championships and got a silver medal. Some people thought he should have got the gold medal against the Cuban. That's how good his dad was. So to compare Campbell Hatton with his dad, he's doing him a disservice. But, you know, I mean, he'll learn, he'll grow. I think he well won the fight. And, yeah, man, credit to him for that. It's just that it's unfair when people start to expect things from him that he's just not capable of, especially at this stage of his career.
Ian Hamilton has said here, let's take it slowly with Campbell Hatton. He hasn't had loads of amateur fights. Matchroom will perhaps do similar to what they did with Conor Benn. Let's just enjoy the journey. Joe Streeter has said here, it's a blessing in disguise that Campbell's first 2 fights are behind closed doors. In front of a packed crowd, the pressure would be even greater than it is already. 2 good points there.
Yeah, it's difficult to say. You never know with the crowd. He might have performed better. We don't know. That's an intangible that we won't know until the crowds come back. But listen, man, I mean, I thought it was a decent performance. Like I said, he won every round. He did seem to hurt the guy in the last round there. And yeah, he well won it. It's just that, listen, I think comparisons with his dad, especially at this stage of his career, are nonsensical, really. Just let the kid develop and see where he can go. I don't know how high his ceiling's going to be. But yeah, let's not get too carried away, man. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, he's just a kid.
Massive upset to kick off the show, man. Well, from what I saw anyway, the first fight that I saw, Giovanni Straffon taking out James Tennyson in 1 round, man. I was just like, what the hell? Literally.
You know what? I'm going to admit, I didn't get a chance to see that because I didn't realize it was on that early. And by the time I bought the fight and tuned in, that fight had just finished. So I didn't see it. But I guess Johnny Nelson would have been disappointed, man. You know what I mean? And I guess that Gervonta Davis could breathe a sigh of relief.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely. Last one.
Happened, man?
Oh, yeah. Like, he just got blitzed. Literally, man. I mean, like, the Mexican... I saw somebody say, what was it? I think it was Mexico Room. Instead of Matchroom, it was called Mexico Room. Because
they keep coming over here and handing out L's, man. You know what I mean? I mean, like, but hey. But you know what? I did hear, or I did see a couple of people on Twitter. And indeed, when we did your show during the week, I remember distinctly there was somebody that contributed to your show, and they said that, listen, man, this guy Straffon, if he can hold a shot, it's a dangerous fight for Tennyson because he can punch himself.
Yeah.
So hey.
Yeah, big them up. I can't remember who it was, but it might have been Nathan or Stefan or one of them two. But big them up because they said it from early.
What else Nelson say then? Did he say anything about it?
Yeah, I think Anna Woolhouse pulled him up on it. She said, "Yeah, that comment's gonna haunt you about Gervonta Davis." And Johnny Nelson just had to put his hands up and just admit it, man. You know, he got it wrong. So fair play to him for admitting it.
Yeah, because you know, sometimes gets a bit carried away, man.
I think he basically admitted that. Yeah, he did admit that.
Very easy to look at somebody knocking out somebody, beating up on an inferior opponent, and then start sort of projecting forward and saying, you know what I mean, this and that. But hey, man, that's a very dangerous thing to do. What did you think of Chris Eubank?
That was going to be my last review. Yeah, you probably missed it just before you came on. But I was happy that Eubank went a few rounds. I know a lot of people are disappointed in his performance. Some were saying it was a strange performance. Listen, when Eubank opens up, man, I love. It's a thing of beauty. I do love watching it. You know, the uppercuts and, you know, when he really rips in the combinations. He's obviously still got a lot to learn from Roy Jones. At times, it looked like he was trying to mimic Roy Jones in there.
Yeah, a little bit disconcerting, although I can understand why he's doing it. Because listen, man, I mean, if you've got Roy Jones in your corner and you're going home at night, because he said in the lead up to this fight, he goes home and he was watching tapes of Roy Jones and stuff like that. But
I think after the fight, when they had the interview, and Roy Jones was basically saying that I wanted him to go rounds. I kind of understood it a bit more because there was a time where Eubank had Marcus Morrison in the corner, and he could have took him out, I think, but he kind of moved back and let Marcus Morrison get back in the fight. I think that was the second round.
I heard him say I wasn't so sure about that, man. I'm not so sure. I think he was probably worried about gassing himself out because Marcus Morrison took the shots. He did look like in that second round he might be ready to go. But I find it hard to believe that you can stop the guy and have a very impressive second round knockout. And you're telling me that you didn't want to stop him. You went another 8 rounds just because... But nah, that doesn't happen in professional boxing, man. I think it's more of a case of he didn't want to gas himself out. And indeed, Morrison did actually catch him a couple of times. And he caught, I wouldn't say he hurt Eubank, but he definitely got his attention a couple of times with shots. Because Marcus Morrison is a decent puncher.
Yeah.
And he's strong, you know what I mean? And he's tough.
Very tough.
And Eubanks didn't have it all his own way in there, man. I thought he lost a couple of rounds. I mean, don't get me wrong, he won the fight. I'm not disputing that at all. But at times he was made to look a little bit pedestrian, don't you think?
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, when he opens up, he looks great. But there were times when Marcus Morrison, for example, was out jabbing him in there.
Who wins out of Eubank and Charlo and Eubank and Triple G?
You know what? Based on what I saw tonight, he's not ready for those guys here, man. He's not. I have to say that he's not. And then you got to say to yourself, given his age and the stage he's at his career, will he ever be ready? Because listen, man, when you're talking about Triple G, you're talking about a guy who's got one of the best chins in boxing. You know what I mean? Have you ever even seen Triple G get hurt in any of his fights? I mean, he can be quite slow and pedestrian, but in terms of his chin, man, it's rock solid. He's never been down amateur or pro. And he had about 300 odd amateur fights.
Yeah.
Golovkin's definitely slowing down. So Eubank could possibly outwork him. But I'll tell you the problem that Eubank has is that I'm still a little disappointed at some of the fundamentals.
Yeah.
He's got great athleticism. Like when he lets his hands go, he looks amazing. But if you look at some of the work leading up to him letting his hands go, like the jab is not that good. He still hasn't got a good jab, Eubank.
You throw a straight jab at Eubank, you're landing it. And Triple G has a great jab.
Yeah. And his defense at times, he doesn't really move much. He's quite a flat-footed fighter in a Eubank at times.
Yeah.
Stays in the pocket for quite a long while. I don't know, man. I don't know. There's a lot to work on, man. There's a lot to work on. But listen, man, he too has been out the ring for a while. he definitely won the fight. He looked good in spells. But I wasn't overly impressed. I have to say that.
Big up Joe Streeter here, man. He's got a point here, to be fair. He's put here, Marcus Morrison isn't the type of guy you get rounds against either. He is a banger and dangerous at all times. So he's basically saying, why didn't Eubank go for the kill? Like what you said.
I mean, listen, man, Marcus Morrison has been beaten by Jason Wellborn. He got stopped by a journeyman fighter. You know what I mean? So, I don't know, man. I mean, listen, Eubank, like I said, he looked good in spells, but he wasn't able to maintain a consistent performance. And what I saw of him tonight, I certainly wouldn't be making him favourite over Charlo and Triple G and people like that. He's got a long way to go yet before.
What about domestically? What about Liam Williams or Felix Cash? Liam Williams tweeted straight after the fight.
Yeah, I saw that. And you can't blame Liam Williams for doing that, can you?
No.
I mean, so, that would be a great fight because given Liam Williams' machismo, he'd probably want to engage Eubank in a fight. Now, if you engage Eubank in a fight, you stand there, you're actually making it easier for Eubank to produce his best work.
Yeah.
Because one thing about Eubank, man, he's got that killer instinct. He likes to go for his shots. And that's his type of game, you know what I mean? But, yeah, man, that'd be a great fight. That'd be a great fight.
Great fight indeed, man.
Happening because I think Eubank is going to concentrate on getting a world title shot against one of those guys we just mentioned, Triple G or one of the.
I think so.
Yeah, the Charlo.
I think so.
Stuff like that. So.
Well, listen, man, I'm going to wrap it up for tonight, man. Just our post-fight reaction. If you guys want to see more, don't forget we have a podcast every week. Will be this week. It'll be Wednesday this week, I believe, won't it, Laurie?
Yeah.
So make sure you guys tune into that. But appreciate you guys, man. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to go and get some rest. Do you know what I mean? And thank you all for your comments. Don't forget to like the video on the way out, share the video, subscribe to the channel. And appreciate your comments as always, man. Fight night, great to speak to you all. Ruiz and Areola. Before we go, man, I might have to watch that in the morning, you know.
Might be lively for a few rounds, but I fully expect Ruiz to come out on top. As I said on your show, and I've got no reason to change my mind. If that fight goes past 6-7 rounds, I'll be surprised.
Yeah. I think I'll watch that in the morning.
Yeah.
But big up to everybody in the chat, man. Have a good evening. And we'll catch up with you all soon, man. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Good night.